Guys, what is going on? It's your boy Claire here, hooking you up with one of my favorite decks in Fluffals. The deck has gotten even better thanks to the destruction of Pepe. I don't think they completely did, but they have been hammered. So our worst matchup has essentially been demolished. So now, pretty much, when it comes to meta, we already have a strong matchup to Cosmos, and as long as we have our outs to Monarchs, this deck is essentially just really strong. So that's just some good news. And right before I get to the deck profile, guys, I have a link to a duel video if you want to see me actually using Fluffles in a live duel. And right before, also don't forget to like and subscribe. We would really appreciate that, guys. We're trying to start up the channel. So anyways, let's get to the deck profile so I don't keep you guys waiting. 3 copies of Fluffal Dog. This essentially searches out your Edgem Sabres and your Fluffal Monster. Nothing much to it. 3 copies of Bear. This essentially sets your Toy Vendor so you can get your Fluffal Wings and Toy Vendor combo. 3 copies of Fluffal Wings just because I want to be getting that combo out as fast as possible. 1 copy of Sheep, 1 copy Owl, and 1 copy Cat. These are just essentially really strong one-ofs. Cat, when he used as a fusion summon, I can essentially add Poly right back. Owl, I can normal summon and add Poly back. Sheep, if I control a Fluffal monster, I can special summon them. And I can bounce back my Fluffal monster if I have an Edge Up engraved, and then I just special summon my Edge Up. So essentially, Sheep and Dog is really good first turn play. That's all I run for my Fluffal monsters. I don't run Mouse just because he clogs, and I'm trying to keep this deck as competitive as possible. Especially with upstart going to 1. You want to have this deck as consistent as possible. But if you just playing casually, you can put Mouse in. But it's just up to player preference. 3 copies of King of Swamp to start off my non-Fluffal monsters. This essentially searches out Poly. It's really good. It's kind of expensive, but once you buy them, they worth it. 3 copies of Edgem Chain. Chain essentially replaces himself. He essentially replaces himself when he attacks. I can add a Chain, which I rarely do. But the amazing thing about him is pretty much when he's sent to graveyard, I can add Frightfur Fusion. So he's pretty good. 2 copies of Saber, just because he's a name essentially. But he's also a plague spreader, and you sometimes do use his effect. For the last monster, I feel like this is the hand trap of the format, and Effect Veiler is just a really good card. Like, this is honestly my favorite hand trap, and this is probably my waifu. I just love Effect Veiler. It's just a really strong card. That's it for the monsters of the deck. For the spells, I run 3 copies of Instant Fusion. Even though Nodin went to 1, this deck abuses Instant Fusion more than any other deck at this current state. Just because the Sheep into Sabretooth is just a really strong play, and we can essentially get that off whenever we want. For my Monarch outs, I do main deck them in 1 Raigeki and Double Dark Hole. I just feel like they are essentially really strong. I saw these out whenever I'm playing BA or Magic Specters, but Magic Specters are essentially probably they got hurt by the balance as well because of Wisdom Eye going to 1. So you rarely saw these out, only against BA now. So that's essentially really good. 3 copies of Poly just because it's polymerization. This deck abuses Poly. 3 copies of Toy Vendor. This essentially is your search spell. You pop it to get your pluses going. 2 copies of Frightfur Fusion is really strong. Oh, by the way, I don't run Dark Fusion just because I feel like there isn't a lot of targeting in this format. The only deck that target is BA, essentially. And whenever I'm playing BA, I noticed they cut back on their targeting cards to run more negation. So I just don't feel like Dark Fusion is that good. But if you do want to run Dark Fusion, it's player preference. So you can just throw that in if you really want to. 1 Galaxy Cyclone. This is just to get out cards like Vanities. I always like this in the grave, and it's so much utility. You can run Twin Twisters if you want. I'm taking in the Galaxy Cyclone just because I like it. 1 Fusion Recovery is essentially pretty strong. I do like Fusion Reserve, but the thing about it is I really don't want to be setting it and waiting a turn to activate it. I like spells. I want to keep this deck as fast as possible. I want to be able to get my combos going. One upstart, I still play it just because the deck essentially it's extra consistency, I guess. And I do run the 1 day piece, so I essentially am running 2 upstarts. 1 day piece just because this deck doesn't really establish any boards. So if you don't have OTK in hand, this is really nice. Like, you don't have to waste your hand. You might just play 1 day a piece and then draw some cards off the Toy Vendor and Fluffal Wing combo that turn. So you essentially are protected since you don't take any battle damage. That's essentially the main deck of the deck. I'll go to the side deck now. I'll try to keep the side deck as budget as possible for this, just because I really didn't want to devote a strong side deck until I go to regionals. I'm not sure if I'm playing Fluffals at regionals next time I go, but I'm probably am. But just for a local side deck, I run 2 Lancia just for Cosmos, Ritual Beast, and any deck that banishes, mainly Cosmos though. 2 copies of Battle Fader. Fader essentially is really strong against Cosmos and any OTK deck like Despots. The 3rd Veiler just against any rogue decks and essentially Monarchs. 2 Chalice just for full game monsters, essentially. Stop the Rafflesia, stop the Dark Law. Whenever you're going, it's really strong. 2 Spell Shattering Arrow for Pendulums as well as Monarchs. This is an out to domain, and then a lot of times, whenever you go in second, or whenever you go in second game, they essentially know you run Raigeki and Darkhold, so they end up siding Marsh. But what they don't know is you side in the Spell Shattering Arrows, and you get rid of two birds in 1 stone. So you essentially pop their March and their domain. In MST, you can replace this with Twin Twister or Galaxy Cyclone, however you feel like it. 3 Mind Crush, and then Double Tree. This is all player preference. I just feel like I just wanted a generic side deck. For the extra deck, guys, I run 2 copies of Frightfur Tiger. It's just essentially really strong. Being able to just pop monsters is really good this format. Any spot removal is just really strong this format. 2 copies of Frightfur Sheep. Sheep is really good. It's our out to Cosmos. We essentially read Cosmos just because Sheep is a card. It's in our Armades essentially, and it keeps on coming back with 800 attack points. So the highest you get is 28. But if you bring out Sabretooth with the Sheep, you essentially can just get over your Dark Destroyers for days. The 2 Wolf, just because it's an amazing card and it gets your OTKs off. 1 Sabretooth. If I had the second one, I would be probably playing it. 1 copy of Leo. Leo is really good as well. And then the 1 copy of Nodin, since we can only play 1 Nodin. For XDs, I guess I just ran the Dark Rebellion, Monarch, Stell, Diamond Dire, Dweller, and Mechaquip. You can replace this with Levier if you want. Honestly, I feel like I'm only going to my XDs when I need an out. So I would honestly replace this with a Zen mains. But if you want to play Levier like most people do, you can. That's it for the deck, guys. I hope you guys enjoy. Like this video and go ahead and subscribe. Also, don't forget that link I left in the description so you can see some of the Fluffal action. And that's it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. And Clay is signing out. Peace from Team Magflare.